Tonight, you're lying in bed and it hits you. Something you did 7 years ago. Something so small, so stupid that no one else on earth remembers it. But your brain plays it back in full detail, the exact words, the exact look on their face, the exact feeling of your stomach dropping through the floor. Why does your brain do this to you? You didn't ask for it. You weren't thinking about it. And yet here it is again, as vivid and sharp as the moment it happened. You close your eyes and try to think of something else. It doesn't work. The memory just gets louder. This is not a flaw. This is a feature. And once you understand why, you'll never look at embarrassment the same way again. Your brain is not a storage unit. It doesn't save everything equally. It runs on a system of priorities, and at the top of that list is anything that could get you killed or exiled. For most of human history, those two things were basically the same. Think about your ancestors, not your grandparents. Go back further, go back tens of thousands of years to small groups of 30, 40, maybe 50 people moving across the same land, eating the same food, sleeping near the same fire. In that world, your survival didn't depend just on avoiding predators. It depended on being accepted, being useful, being trusted. If the group decided you were a liability, they left you behind, and being left behind meant death. Psychologist Mark Leary spent decades studying what he calls the sociometer, a mental gauge your brain runs constantly in the background, tracking your standing in the social group. When that gauge drops, your brain fires an alarm, not a gentle nudge, a full neurological emergency signal. The same circuits that process physical pain light up when you feel socially rejected or humiliated. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a broken arm and a broken reputation. To your nervous system, both are threats to survival. Both demand immediate attention. This is why embarrassing memories feel so physical. That heat in your face, that sick weight in your chest, that urge to disappear. These are not dramatic responses to a small situation. These are ancient survival mechanisms responding exactly the way they were designed to. But why does the memory keep returning? Why can't you just feel embarrassed once and move on? Here is where it gets stranger. Your brain operates on a simple principle. The more emotionally intense an experience is, the more important it must be to remember. Fear, joy, anger, shame, these emotions act like highlighters, signaling to your memory systems that this moment matters. Pay attention. Store this carefully. You might need it again. The amygdala, a small almond-shaped structure deep inside your brain, is the gatekeeper of this system. When something emotionally significant happens, the amygdala sends a signal to the hippocampus, your brain's memory consolidation center, and essentially says, "Burn this one in." Researchers Cahill and McGaw demonstrated this in the 1990s through a now famous series of experiments. They showed participants emotionally neutral stories and emotionally charged stories, then tested recall weeks later. The emotionally charged memories were not just remembered better. They were remembered with far more detail, more vividness, more accuracy. The stronger the emotion, the deeper the burn. Embarrassment is a particularly potent emotion because it combines several threat signals at once. There is the fear of judgment, the anticipation of rejection, the sudden awareness of being seen in a way you didn't choose. All of these hit the amygdala simultaneously, and the amygdala responds accordingly. It doesn't ask whether the moment was objectively important. It doesn't weigh whether anyone else actually noticed or cared. It registers the emotional intensity and does its job. It burns the memory in, and then it calls it back. This is the part that feels like cruelty, but is actually calculation. Your brain replays uncomfortable social memories not to torture you, but to run a simulation. It is asking what went wrong? What could you have done differently? What should you do if this situation ever happens again? Psychologist Roy Baumeister, who has studied the asymmetry between positive and negative experiences for decades, calls this the negativity bias. Bad events, bad emotions, bad memories have a stronger and more lasting impact on your psychology than equivalent positive experiences. Losing something hurts more than gaining the same thing feels good. Being humiliated once in front of a group leaves a deeper mark than being praised in front of the same group. This is not pessimism. This is engineering. In an environment where one mistake could cost you your place in the group, and your place in the group could cost you your life, it made sense to weight negative experiences more heavily. The brain that remembered its failures more vividly than its successes was the brain that learned faster, adapted better, survived longer. Your ancestors who forgot their embarrassments quickly, who repeated the same social missteps without feeling the pull of memory warning them, were the ones most likely to be cast out. Your ancestors who replayed those moments obsessively, who felt the phantom discomfort of past failures and adjusted their behavior accordingly, were the ones who stayed, who were trusted, who survived. You are descended from the overthinkers, from the ones who lay awake at night rehearsing what they should have said. This is your inheritance. But here is the twist. The same mechanism that replays your worst moments is the mechanism that can eventually neutralize them. Memory is not a recording. It is a reconstruction. Every time your brain retrieves a memory, it doesn't just play it back. It rebuilds it piece by piece, and in doing so, it becomes temporarily vulnerable to change. Neuroscientist Karim Nader discovered something remarkable in the early 2000s. Memories are not fixed files. Every time you retrieve a memory, it enters a brief, unstable state before being stored again. This process, called reconsolidation, means the memory can be subtly altered each time it surfaces. This is why the same memory feels slightly different every time you revisit it. This is why, years later, an embarrassing moment that once felt catastrophic slowly softens into something you can almost laugh at. The memory has been retrieved and reconstructed so many times that the emotional charge around it begins to wear down. Your brain is not punishing you. It is processing. Every replay is an attempt to downgrade the threat level, to refile the memory somewhere less urgent. The discomfort you feel when the memory surfaces is the feeling of that process happening. You are not broken for lying awake at 3 a.m. replaying something nobody else remembers. You are doing exactly what your brain was built to do. You are running a survival simulation using data from decades ago in a world that no longer requires it because your nervous system hasn't gotten the update yet. The world has changed faster than evolution can follow. You are no longer in a group of 50 people on an open plain. You are surrounded by billions of strangers, most of whom will never see you again. The social mistake you made in a meeting, at a party, in a classroom, the one your brain has filed as a 5-alarm emergency, carries no real consequence beyond the moment it happened. No one is exiling you. No one is withdrawing protection. But your amygdala doesn't know that. Your sociometer is still calibrated for the savannah. It is still treating every social stumble as a potential death sentence. So the next time a memory crawls out at midnight, the thing you said that landed wrong, the moment you misjudged the room, the sentence that came out backwards, try to hear it differently. Not as evidence that something is wrong with you, as evidence that your brain is working exactly as designed, protecting a version of you that no longer needs protecting in quite the same way. You are the descendant of every human who survived by caring too much about what the group thought, who replayed their failures obsessively and adjusted, who lay awake in the dark running simulations. Tonight, when that memory surfaces again, your brain is doing what it has always done, keeping you safe in the only language it knows. It just hasn't learned yet that you're already home.